And we're recording. Yay! Tiff, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you. This is the first time I'm able to do a recorded podcast in the pleasure of my own home.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Look at the world we live in
So
now.
thanks for having me on.
No worries.
Right?
Well, we were going to record an Oddisode when we were supposed to be at Maplecroft because we were going to do a sleepover there. And that's when I'm like, oh, we'll record an Oddisode.
Hmm.
I'll ask you questions about you being a spirit medium and things like that. And then, stuff and things happened and it didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. But it will happen. It
So
will.
here we are. It
Yes.
will.
Exactly. Exactly.
So those who don't know who Tiffany is, she's a dear friend of mine. I talk about her on the podcast all the time. You can find her on all the social media sites. I think Twitter and Instagram. She's at Spirit Medium Tiff, right?
Yep. You can find me at Spirit Medium Tiffany on Facebook and Spirit Tiff on Instagram, Spirit Tiff on Twitter, and then tiffanyrice.com is my website.
And you can book phone readings with her, which I've been trying to tell everybody I can about this because everybody's working from home. I figured, or just hanging out at home, I figured everybody could, look into you a little bit. And if they wanted a reading, I'd love for them to do so because
Thank you.
last night, Tiffany and I did a Instagram live last night, which we'll get into in a moment.
So crazy.
She is my go-to spirit medium.
Oh, thank you.
I've had an in-person reading with Tiffany that blew my mind. It's absolutely insane. She knew stuff that not even my husband knew, which was totally crazy. I've actually, after investigations, texted her and said, so there was this weird thing that happened. I just want to make sure nothing followed me home. And she knew and put me at ease. We've also done some phone readings via FaceTime for an investigation that was really cool. It was the investigation we did of Clayton's friend and now my friend Glenn's house. And I walked you through the house and you told me what you
Yes.
were vibing.
Yes, that was a few years ago.
It really it was way too long ago. But
It was.
it,
It was so long ago.
come to find out, everything that you had told us all tied into all of the evidence. That's the word I'm looking for.
Activity. Uh, Yeah.
that
Okay.
Yeah, that we had gotten that night. So now that I've, bragged about you for like 3 minutes straight,
Keep going.
why don't you tell the listeners kind of what you do and what you're all about?
Okay, well, I am a spirit medium. So, for those of you who are listening and you don't know what that means, I am someone who communicates with people that have passed. So, past loved ones, friends, family, pets come through too. I have no control of who comes through for how long. So, whenever I give a reading, I always ask that everybody has an open mind. Now, I'm not just stuck to doing private readings or gallery readings. What Kitsie was mentioning before is that I do help in paranormal investigations. A lot of times I'll go to a historical location where the historical society of that location will have me come in and I will walk around and I give them the information to bring the factual side that connects with the emotional side. So it's really, really good. I work with a lot of people that just devote their life into finding out the history of these locations. So when I'm able to bring that clarification and the validation to them, it connects emotionally. And that's what I mean by that. And I love being able to do that. So it's more than just readings. Generally, people will come to me and ask for a reading, maybe if they need some closure or it's something to help them get through grief, because we are all going to go through grief in some form or another in our lifetime, and we can never let go of grief. It's just learning to live with grief in your life. So I'm there to help with that. I'm help to provide comfort and healing. through my readings.
And you do. You absolutely do. And you're amazing at what you do. So that's a little bit about what you do. So now I'm going to turn into the interviewer here, if you don't mind.
Go for it. Go for it.
When did you realize you had this ability?
Well, I always had a sense of knowing, but it wasn't until I was in my like I can remember in high school, for instance, going to a baseball game and um, thinking, okay, he's going to get a home run, and all of a sudden he would get a home run. So my intuition was always pretty much on. I would have conversations with people, and as I'm talking to them, I would start to see people behind them, and I thought it was just a bad case of ADD because I have ADD. But what I learned and developed is that it was actually spirit trying to communicate with me. So I always had this sense of knowing, and I had certain stories and situations, but I wasn't able to really identify it until I was in my late 20s. And I became a Reiki master, which is Japanese energy healing, which helped me with identifying more energy. And I just honed in on my gift. And I do want to say everybody is intuitive to a certain degree. It's just how we learn to hone in on it. So I started to just hone in on it. And it was something that brought me comfort and I loved it. And so I just focused on doing that over and over again. And I would practice on friends, I'd practice on family members, pretty much anybody who wanted a reading, I would practice on. And it's funny that you say,
Oh,
"Okay, I'm
wow.
going to be an interviewer now." This is what kind of happens is that I learned to develop the skill of just interviewing spirits. So a lot of times I might get certain information right off the bat. However, there are times when I'm giving a 60-minute private reading is I'll ask a question to myself, like, okay, can you show me how you passed? Can you tell me what your name is or if there's a name associated with you? So there are certain questions that I will ask because a lot of people will ask that. What if I sit in front of you and you don't get anything? And that's usually not
Yeah,
the case. I've never really had that experience in the many years that I've been doing this. So I do the interview
that's
process.
so cool.
Yes, yes.
I had read on your Facebook page earlier that you kind of went through and explained to your followers how you see these things. And it's like, I love the way you said it's memories that aren't mine. And myself
Yes,
being an empath,
yes.
I guess is what I am, it made everything make so much sense for me. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, and I think that's the hardest thing. And as you continue to develop your your skills of tuning in and so forth, you're gonna start seeing common signposts. But you'll have certain indications, like for, for instance, a lot of times when I hear the words, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I'll always hear those words. And when I
Oh.
hear those words, that indicates to me that it was a sudden passing. I can think free and clearly
Oh.
now. When I hear those words, I can think free and clearly now, usually indicates that there's some sort of self medication going on at the time of passing. So there's certain things that I'll see or that I'll hear, which for me will trigger, and I'll say, okay, I understand this. And that will be for
Yeah.
me, again, every medium is different, but for me, that's like they work on my database. So,
Yeah. That's really, really cool to hear. Like we were talking about last night on the little Instagram live we did on your Instagram page. I need to work on opening my third eye.
yes.
And for those who weren't able to make that Instagram live, why don't you tell people how they can do that?
Well, there's a lot of different ways to help, you know, open up that third eye. And one thing that I would love to say is your third eye is represented by a beautiful indigo color sphere, which is a chakra. We have chakras that are energy fields within our system. And we focus on I'll just go through it really quick. If you focus on the base of your spine, you see a beautiful red ball of light. That's your root chakra. And then right on top of it, right where your hips are, is your sacral chakra. That's an orange color. And then you want to go to your belly. This is your solar plexus chakra, which is yellow. You go to your heart, which is your heart chakra, which is green. And you always kind of want to envision a beautiful pink color around that for love and protection. And then you go to your throat, you see this beautiful blue ball of light. That's your throat chakra, always helping you speak mindfully and with truth. And then you go to your third eye, that is indigo, beautiful color of indigo for your third eye chakra. And then you go to the top of your head is a beautiful violet ball of light known as your crown chakra. So when your chakra and energy fields are perfectly aligned, um, it helps you with your intuition. And so I know I went through that pretty quick. And when I was learning the chakras, it really took me a little bit of time and repetition to get that. So don't be too hard on yourself. But you could find the alignment of chakras anywhere if you Google chakras. But the third eye chakra, which is what we were talking about, is indigo. It's a beautiful blue, purple, indigo ball of light. So a lot of times I will tell you when you're breathing in, focus on this beautiful indigo ball of light expanding right where your third eye is. And with each breath, you want to expand just a little bit more. And that will help open up your third eye chakra. There's other calming techniques to help. I always say meditation is really good for grounding. If you really want to focus on learning to be super intuitive, I always recommend grounding yourself for a little bit. You don't have to do a half-hour meditation.
Yeah.
Even if you give yourself 5 minutes just to do some deep breathing exercises, that will help you. So you're thinking with you're going to have more clarity. You're going to think with a clear mind.
Yeah.
So, there's certain tools and techniques. I actually teach workshops on how to open up more. So, it's here's a little, I'll give you this tip. This is what I teach in my workshop. If you have playing cards, right? Like, I don't care if they're just regular, if you have tarot cards or playing cards, whatever kind of cards you have, right? Most people have just regular playing cards. So grab a deck of playing cards. If not, you can go down to the store, you can get them for like $1. So just shuffle them and close your eyes and pick a card. And when you pick that card, hold on to it and focus on what it's showing you. Is it showing you, is it red? Is it black? Is there a number attached to it? Is it a suit that is attached to it? Go with your very first thought. Your very first thought is your gut feeling. So you'll learn, because it's these are all little tools and techniques that you practice, and you'll learn to start really focusing on your gut. As when we grow up, we learn to double check everything, and that's really creating that doubt. And it's not that, like, I can remember growing up, I always say the story of my mom saying, "Tiff, did you go make your bed?" Even though I made my bed, I would second guess. So I would go back and just double check just to make sure and just to appease my
Yeah.
mom. So what
Yeah.
that was causing was self-doubt. And again, it wasn't intentional. It was just I started to doubt myself more and more and lose focus on what my gut was telling me. So when we start to do the intuitive work, it's really going on what we feel, which is the biggest piece of it's the biggest tool you can use. It's your radar, it's your gut. When you're going into paranormal situations or just daily life situations, focus on your senses and what you feel and how certain things, what you see, hear, feel, sometimes even taste, because that's going to give you the answer, if that makes sense.
I love that. It totally makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're
I
welcome.
love it.
You're
So
welcome.
I do have one more question for you, and then we'll get into our little Instagram live that we did last night because
Yes,
bam.
yes, yes,
But
yes.
so my true crime craziness badass that I am, you hear about psychics being able to solve crimes and things like that. Do you know of anybody or have you ever done anything like that?
Yeah, I've worked on some cold cases myself. I was asked and worked
No.
with some detectives on dealing with some cold cases, missing people, that type of situation. And I have even missing dogs. I've worked with missing dog cases,
What?
and yes, 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 yes. And out of the cases that I've done, like I'll talk about the dog one because that seems to be the easiest one to talk about. Um, with the dog, someone had reached out to me and they had said, my dog is missing. Can you help me out? I don't know where to go with this. So I had reached out to my friend who's the animal control officer, And she said, she's like, oh, well, I was contacted too. So her and I jumped in her van, and I just told her exactly what I saw. I'm like, okay, this is the name I'm getting. I'm also getting, this is like the area that I'm getting, and so forth. And I was seeing power lines, and I was seeing a neighborhood near these power lines and what the houses looked like, certain styles of the house, and so forth. And so we drove around that day, and we looked everywhere. We went into the woods, like wherever it was that I felt, we went and looked. And unfortunately,
Yeah.
that day, after 5 hours, there was no dog.
Oh,
And I'm like, I just know that she's not passed. This dog is not passed. I know that she's around. I know that she's around. And I go, I know she's close. She's nearby. And a couple days later, she ends up showing up in the exact neighborhood that I had described, next to the power lines and so
no
forth.
way.
It was such a good, welcoming feeling to know that I was able to help out in that situation, because after we left, the owner continued to look in that same vicinity. So that was something that I was so happy I could assist with. But then there's also other situations that unfortunately didn't have the same ending. So I figured I'd share the good ending. But yes, I've
I
worked
appreciate
in.
that so much.
Right, right. We have a lot going on right now, so I figured I'd share a happy ending one. But there's and unfortunately there were some situations that I've been in with these cold cases where I was able to validate certain things that they had, detectives had looked at and questioned people in certain situations, and I was able to validate certain things, and then where certain people would be found and so forth. Um so yes, I would definitely use my gift, which again, everybody's intuitive, but we're just in tune on a different, like, some are just tuned in a little bit differently. But I would definitely use my gift
Yeah.
to help anybody out, especially in situations of missing person cases and so forth. So
I love that so much. That's really cool. I never knew that about you. At some point, we'll have to sit down and you'll have to tell me what you can and can't. I mean, what you can tell me, not what you can't tell me.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely,
cool.
absolutely, absolutely, and I love it.
So last night we did an Instagram live. Tiff and I were kind of just chatting via text, and she's like, "Hey, let's do an Instagram live tonight." And I was all for it. And I even set up some dramatic lighting here in the podcast dungeon, and so I could show off all my really cool, creepy shit behind me during the live Instagram. And we're talking and chatting for like probably 45 minutes. And then Tiffany mentions, oh, we're probably going to cut out in about 3 minutes because that's the way Instagram does it. I didn't know that. So thank God she let me know. But apparently, something else in my house heard that as well because we were talking about, spirits following me home and this, that, and the other. And I talked about two specific spirits that I thought were gone. I'm just going to put that out there. But then as we're talking and cutting up and cracking up, I see two shadows go behind me, which was insane. Tiff, thoughts?
It was crazy because, of course, if you guys ever watch an Instagram live, we can do like two people at a time. So I'm watching her because she's like, I'm talking, she's talking, so I'm watching. And all of a sudden I see one shadow, which I, in my head, I'm like, oh, maybe that's her arm. But then right after I saw another shadow, which your arm was completely down. So there's no way that it could have been your arms. You weren't moving. You weren't,
Mm-mm.
I thought it was, one of your dogs in spirit, or I thought it was your husband coming in to tell you something. So it was absolutely, and I've watched it over and over and over again, really trying to debunk it, trying to figure out like what could it be? Like what could it be? And I even asked you, Kitsie, like, did something fall? Did something like fall over that we just didn't see? And I know you said no, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing like that happened.
I
So
checked and checked and checked.
yeah. So it makes me wonder, since we did talk about those spirits, I wonder if those spirits were like, hey, we're here. Just letting you know. It's
that's
girls' night.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Either the fact that you instantly thought it was the spirits of my dogs tells me I'm gonna lean towards that because you always go with your gut. My first thought was, "What the fuck is going on?" I didn't think anything of what it could be like you did, but it's gotta be one of the 2. It's either Trixie and Tasha saying, "Oh, Tiff's here, we're gonna say hi and let mom see us," or 2, it's those 2 spirits that I had just said are no longer here saying, "Psych, we totally threw you off guard and here we are." I don't know. It's just so weird.
Right. You know what? And it's funny because I have, especially since I came back from Aruba and I've been doing a ton of stuff with with animals and spirit. I'm wondering if it was your girls just saying, "Hey, we're here." It very well could be.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Either that or I've decided somebody on Twitter said maybe it's a house elf, like from Harry Potter. So I'm gonna leave a sock on the floor in this room tomorrow and see if that helps.
You know what? You could go ahead, do it. Let's see what happens.
I mean, if it is the dogs, they would eat it. So
There you go. And if that sock is gone.
exactly. Well, Tiff, thank you so much for
Oh
doing
my
this.
gosh.
I know
Thank
everybody's got a lot of
you.
time on their hands, so I'm gonna try to get some extra Oddisodes here and there, and hopefully we'll do this again soon. If you guys want to see the video that we're talking about it, I know Tiffany has posted it everywhere on her social media sites. I have as well. She's at Spirit Tiff on Instagram and Twitter, and on Facebook, she's Spirit Medium Tiffany. I'm at Kitsie Duncan on everything. So, Tiff, again, tell everybody where they can book a phone reading if they are interested.
All you have to do, go to my website, tiffanyrice.com, and contact me there, or you can go to my email, spiritmediumtiff@gmail.com. So I would love for you to contact me. Oh, even if you have questions or anything like that. I love getting feedback from people. And Kitsie, thank you so much for having me on. I know we're going to be doing more Instagram lives and doing a lot more, especially since we are quarantined in our homes. So I think it's great because it's bringing everyone together. And like I always say, always remember we're never truly alone, especially in times like this where our anxiety and fear can get the best of us. Just know that, love prevails and we will get through this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tiff. Hey, maybe those were the spirits telling us that we do need to do this together more and we should do more investigations together. I'm going to go with
Yes.
that.
Hey, I am all for it.
Oddity Files is an independent production. Intro music created by DJ Jimmy. Wah, wah. 2020 artwork created by me, Kitsie Duncan. The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours, and ours alone. Well, maybe yours too. If you like the show and would like to support us, visit oddityfiles.com and click on support, or go to patreon.com/oddityfiles. Every little bit helps with both the podcast and the TV show. You can also support us by watching Oddity Files on Amazon Prime. It's free to Prime members and dirt cheap to those who aren't. You can find us on all the social media sites at Oddity Files. Keep spreading the word by sharing, retweeting, and reposting. Join our Oddity Files Facebook group by searching Oddity Files Fan Group and click join. We'll approve you as soon as we can. All weirdos are welcome. Not into that social media stuff? Tell your coworkers, family, even the weird guy who just won't stop talking to you in line for coffee. Oh, and Grandma. Your grandma will love us. We appreciate each and every one of you, and if it weren't for you, we have no idea what we would do with our lives. If you have a story you'd like to submit, send it on in at oddityfilescrew@gmail.com. Also, send in story ideas, silly, weird memes, or just positive vibes to oddityfilescrew@gmail.com. You can also call in and leave that in a voicemail. Call us at 317-300-6699. To contact us about an appearance, reach out at Kitsie at oddityfiles.com. When you have a sec, rate, review, and subscribe. We know it doesn't sound like much, but it really helps us get up there in the podcasting charts. And remember, kids, weird is the new cool. Ghost on. Why are you still here? Go on. Get out of here. Turn it off. It's done. Really. I swear. Go. Get. Serious. I'm out of here.